All right, coaches, players, are we ready to begin the second game, varsity? Okay. Just to be sure, why don't we do a buzzer check starting with Caitlin? Greenwood Caitlin, Greenwood Noah, Greenwood Daniel, Greenwood Peter. Grayson Hunter, Grayson Alex, Grayson Noah, and Grayson Phoenix. All right, and the captains are again Daniel and Noah. All right, coaches, you ready?
Yes.
Okay. All right, if everyone is ready, good luck as we begin the second game with toss-up number 1. A decrease in excretion of this ion is used to diagnose pancreatitis and a lack of production. Grayson Alex? Incorrect. I'll finish. A decrease in excretion of this ion is used to diagnose pancreatitis, and a lack of production in the body leads to metabolic acidosis. It is produced along with hydrogen from carbon dioxide and water in the blood. What ion is used to regulate the blood's pH and is bonded to sodium in baking soda? Greenwood Noah.
Chlorine.
Incorrect. It is the bicarbonate ion. Toss-up 2. A librarian has 6 books, but can only place 4 books on the shelf. How many arrangements of 4 books can a librarian make on the shelf? Greenwood Caitlin?
720.
Incorrect. Grayson Alex? 360. That's correct. Your bonus number 3. According to Aristotle, this rhetorical device requires a clear claim that is supported by strong evidence. It is the method of persuasion that appeals to an audience's reason. What is this counterpart of ethos and pathos?
Logos.
Correct. Toss-up 4. After one bloody conquest, this emperor renounced warfare and waged conquest by dharma. He tolerated all religions, but expected his subjects to respect the beliefs of others and to increase their inner worthiness. Name this last emperor of the Maurya Empire who ruled during the 3rd century BC. Time, the Emperor Ashoka. Toss-up 5. As a ballroom dance, it is designed for either 4 or 8 couples, but the folk version is danced by a circle of couples. Stamping feet, clicking heels, and an accented second beat are the hallmarks of this improvised dance, for which more than 50 steps exist. Identify this dance, which originated in East Central Poland. Greenwood Noah.
Polka.
Incorrect. Grayson Alex. Mazurka is correct. Your bonus number 6. Excuse me. A transgenic strain of this plant was introduced by Monsanto in 2013, and it is drought resistant. These members of the genus Zea can be infected by the smut Ustilago magus. What plant in which Barbara McClintock studied transposons can be eaten creamed, popped, or on the cob?
Corn.
Corn is correct. Excuse me. Number 7, toss-up. Although this type of formation is also found in Europe and Africa, it is most often associated with North America. One of the best-known examples is Island in the Sky, found in Canyonlands National Park in Utah. What formation takes its name from the Spanish word for table? Grayson Noah? Incorrect. Greenwood Caitlin?
Mesa.
Mesa is correct. Your bonus number 8. Angle X has a measure of 5 pi divided by 6 radians. In radians, calculate the measure of the supplement of angle X.
5 or 6.
Correct. Toss-up number 9. During interludes in this type of drama, comic Kyogen plays are performed. It arose in the 14th century as a way to entertain nobles and warriors with drums, flute music, and masked performers. Give the name for this kind of Japanese. Grayson Noah? Incorrect. I'll finish. Give the name for this kind of Japanese drama. Greenwood, Caitlin?
No.
No is correct. Your bonus. During this era, dramatists wrote 5-act plays that followed the unities of time, place, and action. Plays were required to teach a moral lesson, exhibit verisimilitude, and use elaborate costumes and scenery. Name this theatrical era, which lasted from the mid-17th to early 18th centuries, exemplified by the works of Moliere.
No answer.
Captain?
Classical.
Incorrect. Neoclassical. Toss-up 11. Although it is a member of Cyclostomata, this chordate does not have a larval stage. It is classified as a vertebrate, but it does not have a vertebral column, although it has a skull. What jawless fish in class Myxina produces a slime? Grayson, Noah?
Backfish.
Hagfish is correct. Your bonus. Number 12. Evaluate the expression log base 4 of the cube root of 64.
Phoenix.
Incorrect, Captain?
I designate Caleb.
1.
1 is correct. Toss-up 13. First and last names required. These fictitious names were used in English common law to settle titles to real estate. One was used for the plaintiff, the other for the defendant, so the court could decide who had the better title without knowing the parties involved. What two masculine names are still used in the United States to refer to unknown persons? Grayson, Alex?
John Doe.
Incorrect. I'll finish. What two masculine names are still used in the United States to refer to unknown persons in legal proceedings? Greenwood, Daniel.
John Smith.
Incorrect. It is John Doe and Richard Rowe. Toss-up 14. In one of this man's novels, Margaret Schlegel weds Henry Wilcox, and they reside in Henry's ancestral home. Lucy Honeychurch and George Emerson populate another of his works, but his masterpiece features Adela Quested and Dr. Aziz. Give the author of Howard's End, A Room with a View, and A Passage to India. Grayson, Alex?
Forrester.
Forrester is correct. Your bonus 15. In one scene, this character causes a horse to turn to straw after it steps into a river. Wagner is a servant of this man whose arm is emblazoned with the phrase homo fugae, an instruction to flee. This character's severed limbs are discovered the day after his 24-year contract expires. Name this character whose tragical history by Christopher Marlowe includes his pact with Mephistopheles.
Faust.
Faust is correct. Toss-up 16. Although similar to another molecule, this pyrimidine lacks a methyl group. It is thought that the methylation of this molecule increases the stability of DNA, explaining its absence from the DNA strand. Which nucleotide replaced Greenwood, Noah?
Uracil.
Uracil is correct. Your bonus, 17. Calculate the exact value of the geometric mean of 5 and 10.
I designate Caleb.
5 square root of 2.
That's correct. Toss-up 18. Fridtjof Nansen came up with one of these travel documents for refugees on behalf of the League of Nations. In the U.S., they are issued by the Department of State and are valid for 10 years for an adult. Greenwood, Daniel?
Passport.
That's correct. Your bonus. In one scene, this theatrical character comments, "The fourth doesn't quite work, does it?" before suggesting the third above. This theatrical character is accused by Baron von Swieten of betraying the Freemasons via an opera, a plot engineered by his musical rival. Name this real-life figure who, in a play titled for him by Peter Schaeffer, is opposed by Antonio Salieri.
Shakespeare.
Incorrect. Captain?
Mozart.
Correct. Toss-up 20. This author explored the Yapanshin family's response to naive Prince Mishkin in The Idiot. Ivan, Grayson, Alex,
Fyodor Dostoevsky.
that's correct. Your bonus, 21. An act for the conservation of this type of organism was passed in 1973 at the urging of President Nixon. They include the chimpanzee and Tasmanian devil. What kind of species, as determined by the International Union for Conservation of Nature Red List, are likely to become extinct?
Endangered.
That's correct. Toss-up 22. Consider the expression I squared minus 2I cubed plus I raised to the 17th power minus I raised to the 10th power. What is the simplified form of the expression? Times 3 times I, or 3I. Toss-up 23. He burst into the news again in 2015, 58 years after his death, when his Diebold stock was found. He was the CEO of Diebold from 1944 to 1951, after his crime-fighting career had ended. Named as special agent of the U.S. Treasury, who led a Prohibition-era group of law enforcement officers called the Untouchables. That would be Elliot Ness. Toss-up 24. In the Doric order, this architectural feature contains, Grayson, Noah?
Home.
Incorrect. I'll finish. In the Doric order, this architectural feature contains alternating triglyphs and metopes. Roman ones contain plant motifs, while Ionic and Corinthian examples are a continuous band of relief sculpture. Identify the middle portion of an entablature above the architrave and below the cornice. Greenwood, Daniel?
Mosaic.
Incorrect. It's called a frieze. Toss-up 25. This author, who chronicled his unhappy years in a foster home in Ba Ba Black Sheep, published departmental ditties while working as a journalist. His poems, Danny Deaver, Mandalay, and Gunga Din, all appear. Grayson, Alex?
Kipling.
Kipling is correct. Your bonus. Around 1582, Galileo reportedly took an interest in these items while watching a chandelier in the cathedral at Pisa. Another one, made by Foucault, was designed to represent the Earth's rotation. Identify this object, which consists of a weight suspended from a string.
Pendulum.
That's correct. Toss-up 27. Consider the expression quantity t cubed minus t, close quantity, divided by quantity t cubed minus t squared. Assuming that t does not equal either 0 or 1, find the numerator if the expression is simplified. Greenwood, Caitlin?
T squared minus 1.
Incorrect. Grayson, Alex?
T minus 1.
Incorrect. T plus 1. Timeout, Greenwood? Okay, are we ready to resume? Coaches, captains ready? Okay, we will resume play with toss-up 28. He originally concentrated on math and the classics at Cambridge, then switched to politics and economics. His first major work, Indian Currency and Finance, was published in 1913, and he attended the Versailles Peace Conference in 1919. What economist gave up a career in government service because he disagreed with the conditions imposed on Germany? Greenwood Daniel?
Works.
Incorrect. Grayson Noah? Keynes is correct. Your bonus 29. One composer from this non-British country portrayed the Wars of the Roses in his opera Henry Clifford. A suite portraying the songs of this country ends with the Seguidilla, while a four-book piano work portraying this country includes the movements Triana and Malaga. Name this home country of Isaac Alvinez, who showcased it in his work Iberia.
Spain.
Spain is correct. Toss up 30. Excuse me. This author, who occasionally wrote under the name Isaac Bickerstaff, first gained recognition for argument against abolishing Christianity and Journal to Stella. A member of the Scriblerus Club, he moved, Grayson Alex.
Swift.
Swift is correct, your bonus. Consider the function f of x equals x raised to the fifth power minus 6x raised to the fourth power plus 5x cubed plus 8x squared minus 2x plus 5. Find the remainder if the function f is divided by g of x equals x minus 1.
I designate Phoenix.
Incorrect, Captain.
7.
Incorrect, 11. Toss up 32. Her feast day is held each May 30th on the anniversary of her death. She claimed she was acting under divine guidance when she armed herself to fight for her country. What peasant girl, Grayson Noah.
Joan of Arc.
Joan of Arc is correct. Your bonus, 33. Maxwell's demon was an 1867 thought experiment in which a demon controls a door between two gas chambers, eventually decreasing this process. It is symbolized by S, and in the Carnot efficiency would equal 0. What process described in the second law of thermodynamics never decreases and is a measure of the overall disorder or chaos of a system?
Entropy.
Entropy is correct. Toss of 34. This architect partnered with Pietro Belluschi and Emery Roth on the design for the New York City headquarters of Pan Am Airways. In 1938, this man took over the architecture department at Harvard, nearly 20 years after he recruited Vasily Kandinsky and Paul Klee for the faculty of a school of design in Weimar and Dessau. Named as German architect and founder of the Bauhaus. Grayson Hunter.
Gropius.
Gropius is correct. Bonus 35. This author's experiences on an Italian tour inspired his novel in which 3 art students become involved in a man's murder. The Marble Faun, Mosses from an Old Manse, Tanglewood Tales, and Twice Told Tales are 3 collections that include stories like The Minister's Black Veil and Dr. Heidegger's Experiment. Named as creator of Matthew Mall and Hephzibah Pynchon in The House of the Seven Gables.
I designate Alex.
Hawthorne.
Hawthorne is correct, and that is the half. So coaches, 3 minutes for inquiries, if you would like. Can we get a score check at the half?
1907, I'm not here.
Fifth to 18. Aaron, are you
1907. Which is proportional.
That might be a bad idea.
Like, disqualify us, bad idea.
only have reading.
That's okay.
On your, side, and then I had to go back and fix it.
That's not how things work.
Okay, coaches, no inquiries during at the half? All right, are we ready then to resume?
Yes,
No substitutions?
yes, Eli went in there too.
Eli went defeated. All right, and no substitutions here, so same captains? Okay. Good luck to both teams then as we begin the second half with toss-up number 1. Functions f and g are inverse of one another, and f of 3 equals negative 10. What is the value of the expression g of negative? Greenwood, Caitlin?
3.
That's correct. Your bonus, number 2. One example of this type of chemistry is a copper catalyzed reaction that forms a 5-member triazole ring, the Huygens cycloaddition. It focuses on uniting small, simple units to create complex synthetic molecules. What branch of chemistry developed by Barry Sharpless imitates the building of complex molecules in biological systems?
Biochemistry.
Incorrect, Captain?
Synthetic.
Repeat.
Synthetic.
Incorrect, it is click chemistry. Toss-up 3. The decision in this early Supreme Court case led to a steady increase in the power of the federal government. In the case, the court ruled that Congress had the authority to charter a national bank. Identify the Grayson, Noah.
The Columbia, Maryland.
That's correct. Your bonus, number 4. This character marries his widowed sister-in-law after outlaws kill and quarter his brother Qasim. He frees the servant Morgiana, who kills thieves hiding in oil jars before they can murder her master. Name this character from the 1001 Nights, who finds treasure using the phrase "open sesame."
I designate Alex.
Alibaba.
That's correct. Toss-up 5. This choreographer incorporated chairs, bowler hats, and canes into many of his routines. Sideways shuffles, rolled shoulders, jazz hands, and turned-in knees are all part of his signature style. And is choreographer of Sweet Charity, Pippin, and the Pajama Game. That is Bob Fosse. Toss-up 6. If log of quantity x minus 5 close quantity equals 3, what is the value of x? Greenwood, Caitlin?
1005.
That's correct. Your bonus, number 7. One form of this technique uses phenol and chloroform to remove protein and lipid material from a solution and purify DNA. It relies on a component having different mixing capacities in aqueous and organic phases, which form separate layers. Name the lab technique in which an immiscible solvent is added to a mixture to separate components based on liquid solubility.
Clinton.
Incorrect, Captain?
I designate Alex.
Titration.
Incorrect. Extraction. Toss-up 8. They marketed the first commercially successful auto in the U.S., making 1,000 locomobiles in 1900. They then began building cars under their own name, one of which set a world speed record of 127.66 miles per hour in 1906. What brothers are known for their cars with the iconic coffin hood, which ran on steam? Greenwood, Caitlin? Incorrect. Grayson, Alex?
Smith.
Incorrect. It is Francis and Freeland Stanley. Toss-up 9. This composer's numerous collaborations with playwright Maxwell Anderson included the musical Knickerbocker Holiday. Jimmy is sentenced to death for lacking money to pay his bills in this composer's opera about the city of Mahagoni. Another of his works begins with a ballad that repeats the line, "Oh, the shark has pretty teeth, dear," named this composer who wrote Mac the Knife for the Threepenny Opera. That is Kurt Weill. Toss-up 10. This grammatical mood may express a speculation or a condition contrary. Greenwood, Caitlin?
Subjunctive.
That's correct. Your bonus 11. Segment AB is tangent to circle C at point B, and the lengths of segments AC and BC are 10 units and 6 units respectively. In units, find the length of segment AB.
Units.
That's correct. Toss-up 12. The mathematical description of this law is the absolute value of the product of the magnitude of charges over the distance between the charges squared times a namesake constant. That constant is equivalent to approximately 8.987 times 10 to the 9th power. Times 10 to the 9th Newton meters squared over the charge squared. Name this law of physics, which describes the interaction between electrically charged particles. Grayson and Alex.
Coulom's law.
Coulom's law is correct. Your bonus. This culture lasted for about 800 years on the southern coast of Peru, with its late pottery style called Ica. The best known evidence of this culture are geoglyphs found in the 1920s. What culture is known for its large images of geometric designs, plants, and animals etched into the ground?
Nazca.
That's correct. Toss-up 14. This kind of art in Neolithic Greece was most often produced in Thessaly and Crete. In Thessaly, artists preferred to do their work in red, but some decorated their products with rectilinear lines. What type of artwork is made of clay that has been... Grayson and Alex?
Pottery.
That's correct. Your bonus 15. This man's masterpiece is a series of poems that were first staged as monologues on Broadway in 1963. It profiles citizens of a fictional town, a combination of Petersburg and Lewistown, Illinois, who largely express regret and bitterness from the grave. Who wrote Spoon River Anthology?
Isaiah Alex.
Exerly Masters.
That's correct. Also 16. The diagonals of rhombus ABCD intersect at point P, and segments AP and BP have lengths of 5 units and 8 units respectively. In units, calculate the length of one side of the rhombus. Greenwood, Caitlin?
13 units.
Incorrect. Square root of 89 units. Toss-up 17. This element is isolated by treating monazite and basanite with sulfuric acid to yield a form with a +3 oxidation. Discovered as an impurity in cerium nitrate by Carl Gustav Mosander, its name means to lie hidden. Name the element with atomic number 57, namesake of the series of elements with incomplete 4f orbitals. Greenwood, Noah.
Lanthanum.
That's correct. Your bonus 18. This man became a socialist while studying in France, taking a name that meant Nyan the Patriot. He went to Russia in 1923, then chaired a meeting in Hong Kong in 1930 that merged two political parties into the Communist Party of Vietnam, identified the leader of the Viet Minh, and first president of the Democratic Republic of Vietnam in 1945.
Pol Pot.
Incorrect. Captain?
Ho Chi Minh.
Ho Chi Minh is correct. Toss-up 19. This musical style's Philadelphia subgenre was associated with the group the Delphonics. One performer, nicknamed It's Queen, is known for a song that asks the listener to find out what it means to me after spelling out the title word. What genre, Grayson, Alex?
Respect.
Incorrect. What genre is represented by Respect, a hit for Aretha Franklin? Greenwood, Eli. Incorrect. It is Soul. Toss of 20. This novel's protagonist, Major Victor Jopolo, restores a small Sicilian town to order at the end of World War II. Before being transferred, he helps the title town replace the title object, which the fascists melted down to make bullets. Give the name of this Pulitzer winner by John Hersey. Grayson, Phoenix?
George III.
Incorrect. Greenwood, Daniel?
King George.
Incorrect. A bell for Adano. Toss up 21. The expected values of two random variables, x and y, are 6 and 10 respectively. What is the expected value of the linear combination 2x minus y? Greenwood, Eli?
2.
That's correct. Your bonus, 22. This layer of the eye covers about 65% of the eye's interior surface. At the center of the macula lutea is the fovea centralis, which is necessary for visual accuracy. What part of the eye is composed of rods and cones and transmits an image to the brain through the optic nerve?
Cornea.
Incorrect. Captain?
Iris.
Incorrect. The retina. Toss of 23. This measure was enacted to help pay the costs of Pontiac's War and the French and Indian War. It was so unpopular that some merchants formalized anti-importation agreements, and a Congress held in New York, Greenwood, Daniel?
Yeah.
Incorrect. Finish. And a Congress held in New York asked Britain to repeal it. What act of Parliament taxed all colonial, commercial, and legal papers, newspapers, pamphlets? Grayson, Alex.
Stamp Act.
That's correct. Your bonus, 24. This mythical figure was the first man to sculpt a statue with open eyes and fled Athens after killing his nephew Talus in a jealous rage. He designed an invincible city for Cocalus of Sicily and built a wooden cow for Passophia that allowed her to tryst with a bull. What mythical Greek did King Minos force to build the labyrinth for the Minotaur?
Daedalus.
That's correct. Toss of 25. This playwright profiled Mommy, Daddy, Grandma, the young man, and the musician in The American Dream and The Sandbox. He didn't win a Pulitzer for The Goat or Who is Sylvia, but earned 3 for Seascape, A Delicate Balance, and 3 Tall Women. Identify the playwright best remembered for Who's Afraid of Grayson, Alice.
Albee.
That's correct. Your bonus, 26. The graph of the equation, x squared divided by 9 minus y squared divided by 16 equals 1, is a hyperbola. Calculate the slopes of the asymptotes of the hyperbola.
I did make Phoenix.
4.
Incorrect, Captain?
3 and 4.
Incorrect. It is 4/3 and negative 4/3. And have both, or plus or minus 4/3. Toss of 27. This model, described in 1972, demonstrates that cholesterol mediates fluidity in a temperature-dependent manner. In this model, proteins may be integral or peripheral. What model described the structure and function of cell membranes? It's the fluid mosaic model. Toss of 28. This nation enjoyed a brief period of self-rule before Spain reasserted its control at the Battle of Rancagua in 1814. With the help of José de San Martín, patriot forces defeated the Royalists in 1817. What nation declared its independence in 1818 with Bernardo O'Higgins as its head of state? Greenwood, Eli?
Argentina.
Incorrect. Grayson, Noah.
Indirect.
Incorrect. Chile. Toss-up 29. This number is the scale degree of a musical scale's submedium pitch, while in figured bass, it indicates a first inversion triad. Greenwood, Alex?
3.
Correct.
You said 3.
I'll finish. It is the number of distinct pitches in a whole tone scale and appears on top of a duple compound time signature, which can be filled by 2 dotted quarter notes. Give the number of eighth notes. Greenwood, Caitlin?
6.
That's correct. Good bonus. Number 30. This treatise insists that the appearance of virtue is more important than its presence, and that vices are sometimes necessary to maintain order. It advises the reader in forming alliances, maintaining subjects' goodwill, and supporting a strong military. What was this political treatise dedicated to Lorenzo de' Medici and written by Niccolo Machiavelli?
Noah.
Captain?
Grayson.
That's correct. Toss-up 31. The longer leg of a right triangle is twice as long as the shorter leg, and the length of the hypotenuse of the triangle is 10 units. In units, find the length of the shorter leg of the... Grayson, Alex?
6.
Incorrect. I'll finish. In units, find the length of the short... Greenwood, Caitlin?
10 squared, 3 over 3 units.
Incorrect. 2 square root 5. Toss-up 32. This opera's men introduce themselves and their town in the chorus, "If you want to know who we are." This opera's title character appears during the song Mia Sama, before an execution that he ordered is described by Coco. This opera concludes with a chorus noting that Yankee Poo has gone and married Yum Yum. Name the Gilbert and Sullivan work titled For a Ruler of Japan. The Mikado. Toss-up 33. This positive sense single-stranded RNA virus belongs to the alpha virus family. Its name means that which bends up, and infected individuals experience a rash. Grayson, Noah?
Chikungunya.
That's correct. Your bonus 34. This president sent Commodore Matthew Perry's fleet to Japan, where the Treaty of Kanagawa opened trade and diplomacy. He entered politics as a member of the anti-Masonic movement and ran unsuccessfully for president on the Know Nothing platform. Named the man who, as president, helped destroy the Whig Party by supporting the Fugitive Slave Act of 1850.
Gilmore.
That's correct. And toss-up 35. This work begins by scientifically and supernaturally describing the Earth's creation and ends with Julius Caesar's assassination. Deucalion and Pyrrha survive the flood and repopulate the world, and Daphne turns into a laurel tree to escape Apollo's advances. Identify this book of transformations written, Grayson, Alex.
Metamorphoses.
Metamorphoses. And that is the game. 3 minutes for inquiry questions if you want them.
That's why he is.
Yeah, I know.
Well, I think he's right.